I do not want to go this pod without addressing the tragedy that took place in Philadelphia over the past week, well, since October 4th. And of course, I'm talking about Kada Scott, who was murdered by Keon King. She was missing, and they were searching for her body. She ended up being found at Ada Lewis Middle School, which has been out of commission for for a long time. I do have the timeline of events that took place just so everyone's up to date. So timeline goes January 2025. Keon King was accused of kidnapping and strangling a woman. However, the charges were dropped after the victim, who survived the encounter, did not appear in court. So that's January of this year.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to October 3rd. A 2008 black Hyundai Accent was stolen from the 6600 block of Sprague Street around 11:30 at night. The vehicle was left unattended by a food delivery driver. Investigators are saying that Keon King used that car to meet up with Kada Scott the following night. 9:45 on October 4th, 9:45 p.m., Scott was last seen by her family before she went to work at The Terrace, which is an assisted living facility in Chestnut Hill on East Abington Avenue. 10 p.m., according to court documents, the court workers last saw Scott outside the workplace. October 5th, the criminal complaint says King's cell phone was tracked, taking multiple trips between Belmar Terrace home and the area around Ada Lewis Middle School, where her body was found. October 6th, the vehicle seen moving.
Speed up to the part where she was reported missing, and from there on.
Yeah, let's see. So that was, October 4th, October 7th.
That like the 18th, 19th, or something like that.
So on the 7th, a tip leads police to the burned Hyundai Accent on the 2300 block of 74th Avenue. This is all uptown.
Yeah, right.
Uptown
We
part of Philadelphia.
We didn't know this originally.
No, we didn't know. That's what I'm saying. There's a timeline, and yeah. And by the time the investigators arrived, it was towed to a junkyard. On October 9th, they went to Southwest Philly, searched a home. October 10th, police see a video that shows a gold Camry, which is registered to King, arriving at a parking lot at Gypsy Lane Condos. October 15th, I'm sorry, back to October 10th, police search the grounds of Albury Arboretum, which is 3 miles from where Kada Scott was last seen.
Yeah,
they didn't find anything. Yeah, it's right next to Ada Lewis. They didn't find anything. They didn't find her. October 15th, the cops arrest Keon King. And October 17th, a video surfaces showing King in retaliation to the January 2025 kidnapping case. So that video, we saw the video of him jumping into the backyard and circling the house. That was on TikTok. Very scary. And then fast forward to the 18th of October, a quote, very specific anonymous tip leads police back out to the wooded area where they do find her body and identify it the next day. Tragic story, a failure by a lot of people as far as going back to the January, in my opinion, back to January 2025, where that case and the victim didn't appear in court. It's just a tragedy, and I want to hear your thoughts on just the whole week and the temperature of the city, what reaction you've seen, because it's, everyone I've seen, of course, has been, very upset by how this all played out.
I mean, I can go first. I mean, obviously, tragedy. I mean, RIP to her. Um, thoughts and prayers with her family and her friends. I know the mayor, Sherelle Parker, did a town hall yesterday that touched on a lot of the failures of law enforcement and the Justice Department. Not the Justice Department, but the police department, the district attorney office. But just a tragedy all the way across the board. Um, and I just think I think it's interesting, and I don't know if interesting is the word, but the amount of energy that has been the amount of energy in the city surrounding, the case, before the unfortunate finding of her body, just like her being missing, and just the amount of energy around the case, and the amount of concern, from strangers about, you know, um, about this case, and about her, and about her well-being. I think it shows a level of empathy and understanding in the city as a whole, that her case, unfortunately, like so many other cases of Black people, um, dying, or women being kidnapped and things of that nature, that she struck a chord. And one of the few good things about social media is, it got a whole lot of people activated. A lot of people volunteered to even search for her body and stuff like that. Like, I mean, the city really showed their concern. And if there's ever any silver lining behind anything, is just that the city really showed their concern for her, and their continuous concern for her. Um, and also, hopefully, it gets some things changed in the city, or some things reevaluated, especially, how law enforcement deals with cases where victims don't show up. There's always an option for law enforcement to take on the case themselves, even though it becomes much more difficult when you don't have a complainant. It becomes very difficult, but to be able to kind of reevaluate these decisions that law enforcement makes, that the district attorney makes, and hopefully this brings forth some changes in how they look at these crimes, and do whatever they can to protect our women, that are vulnerable.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough topic. Being a parent and being a grandparent of girls, it's like it's tough to see. You feel for her family, you feel for everybody involved, everyone that reached out, like you said, to come and search for her. It's scary. Because it's like, mental health is real, and but also the system that we have in Philadelphia that's set up, it goes to show the details in regards to not handling everything the correct way. If this was in a county, it would have been different, right? Bucks County, Delaware County, it would have been different.
Facts.
Montgomery County, it would have been totally different. But how
Way way
Philadelphia handles
different,
things, way
way
different,
different eyes.
way,
Yes.
way, way different, right? So, but being that it was in Philadelphia, the intimidation factor comes into play. You don't know who or what caused the other individual not to show up. You know, things of that nature where the victim is not protected, and then they're not protected on the process of due process, right? Which makes the situation a lot more scary because then it becomes habitual. It happens again, and then it happens to someone else. You know, it's a sad thing because this was someone's daughter. This is a young lady that had a bright future ahead of her that was cut short by someone who we don't know his mental state. We make no excuses for anything like that, but we
Right.
just say the system failed both of them.
Everybody.
Because if he would have remained incarcerated, maybe this would have not happened. You know what I mean? The first time, you know, um, but also like the young lady, is tough. It's tough, man. It's tough.
Yeah, it was really sad to see. Um, and a few people have reached out to me like about it. sent me the story. And of course, I've seen it on social media. When they got the first tip and it led them to Ada Lewis. I actually graduated from Ada Lewis. So that's how far back I go. And I'm very familiar with the area. But I think one of the biggest things of this right now is that Shaka Johnson is the attorney for Keon King. And the community is in an uproar. So, first of all, thoughts and prayers to Kada Scott's family and friends. But the two things that I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on is first, I'm sure many of you have seen a video of Gabby and her involvement in this whole situation. What did you think of that? And how do you feel about Shaka Johnson taking on this case? And I'll give my thoughts after.
What up? What up? What up? It's your boy James, aka Ralph's favorite. Now I know you're thinking to yourself, James, why am I not watching the video? Chill. We're gonna get to the video. But before we do that, I want to say on behalf of TBD, we appreciate you for taking the time out to watch this video. And we appreciate you for listening to the podcast. More importantly, we just appreciate you taking the time to be with us, because you could be anywhere in the world, but you are here with us today. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to first like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're not, and then hit that notification bell so that way you're notified when we drop a new video. And remember, it's all TBD. Now let's go ahead and get back to that video.
Very conflicted about Shaka Johnson representing Keon King in this case. He's doing an interview on the radio, I guess, going to discuss the case or what he can discuss of the case or his decision to take the case. But the family, yet, like you said, James, did start a petition to get him not to represent Keon King. Now, me and James, full transparency, we talked about this a little bit briefly yesterday. And James enlightened me that that Shaka Johnson is like a known good attorney in the city. I had no information on him. So I'm conflicted in the sense that, yeah, regardless of how heinous the crime is, it is your right, based on the rules as they are set up in this country, to have representation. But at the same time, all money ain't good money. And the fact that he's going to do this radio interview that I'm still on the fence about, do I want to listen to, but that'd be ignorant. So I feel like I have to. But it does seem like it comes off opportunistic on his part. And that's my stance until I hear the interview. I'm open-minded to have a different perspective based on the things he said. I trust my bullshit meter to know if he's saying some bullshit. I'll be able to identify.
Before y'all
you
go,
on bullshit.
B, what can he say for you to be like, oh, all right? Because for me, to look at it from his point of view, this is a case that can make my career, right? And I'll give y'all, when I go, I'll give y'all like some that got him really highly publicized. But this is a case that can make my career. I'm good at what I do. They have the means to afford me, and I have a family to provide for. This is what I do. I know I'm black.
Yeah.
This black on black crime.
The scary part about that, right? And as you said, right, he has a commercial, right, on Power 99 that comes on about beating a lot of major cases for technicality, right? What if Philadelphia dropped the ball in the due process or something and he beats this case on a technicality, right? It's baffling. Like, get this guy off. Like you said, it's great for his career, but it's also, he has a daughter. I know Shaka personally, and it's like, he takes cases where he think he can win. He doesn't take cases he think he can lose. You know what I mean?
That's why he's good at what he do.
That's the scary part. So if he must have something in his head where he see a window of opportunity where he has the possibility of winning this, that's why you don't touch stuff like this when it's so. But like you said, like it can make or break a career. But you're gonna get a black eye from Philadelphia if you beat this case.
Like B said, all money ain't good money.
All money ain't good money.
And real quick before you go, Reggie, I was saying that because, again, before me and James talked about it yesterday, I didn't know that he was already a successful attorney in the city. Are you comfortable here? Because beating this case, I feel like common sense to tell you, you might not be as comfortable as you want to be in the city. Like, what's important to you? That's just my thoughts. Reggie, go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very I struggle with it, right? And the reason why I struggle with it is because for so many years, Black people in general have not really had representation or competent representation in the criminal justice system. And I mean, someone would say, you are guilty until proven innocent, and that everyone has the ability to have counsel, and that doesn't mean that you have to have incompetent counsel. You have the means to be able to pay for somebody that knows their job. I do think that there is a struggle with being just I think in certain black occupations and positions, they are inherently their struggle with the community. Like if you're in law enforcement, their struggle within the community. I think that this is just another kind of example of the struggles and the challenges that Black people have to deal with that other nationalities don't. I mean, white people could take a case, it don't matter who it is. Right. They're still able to do their job. And I think if you talk to any lawyers, and I think Haas, said he knows Johnson, lawyers have a different way of thinking. It's to them, it's about the job. They're looking at guilty, innocent verdicts. They keeping score, like it's almost like a sport to them, right? They're not even really looking at the social aspect of it. They're looking at, this is my job. And I think that attorneys since the beginning of time have represented guilty people. They've represented people that have done like heinous stuff. If he doesn't represent this guy, somebody else surely will. So it's not really going to stop the wheels of justice from turning. But it's just something that I do think that you do have a choice, and his choice to kind of go in this direction is really kind of like Haas said, is baffling. I mean, and I think that you can settle your feelings. A lot of people settle their feelings easily with a big check. Right. Whatever struggle he might be feeling feels a little different with that, that retainer fee being paid feels a little different. But I know personally, I don't think that I will be able to represent someone that it appears is clearly guilty. But I mean, that's the struggle. Go ahead, Dave.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that that I don't see this helping his career. Like I don't see it helping his career. I don't necessarily see it hurting, but I think that if you were on whatever track that you're on, this I don't think it springboards you into Johnny Cochran territory. I think that next year nobody's really gonna remember it. But it may come up in a time where it's gonna negatively affect you. When it's time to do something and someone's gonna recognize that name and they're gonna be like, fuck out of here.
Okay. Yes. My current narrow view of the situation says that it's high risk and not that great a reward. Now, I do want to add also, it's being reported, and I don't know if this is true, that the last text messages between Kada Scott and Keon King, she said to him, "Kidnap me again."
Mm-hmm.
And he said to her, "You better be up to it."
Yeah.
So, as an attorney, which I'm not, but as an attorney reading that, I can understand maybe taking the case.
All right, so I'm gonna say that right there, that raises an eyebrow, right? For me, with Shaka taking the case, I think this is a high reward because I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I don't know, but I would assume that I would hope that the good in him taking the case would be like, obviously this kid has some mental health issues, and maybe we can figure out a way to, I don't know, give him like the smallest amount of time outside of life, or to get him some help or some shit like that, right?
I like that, Jane. I like that actually as a reason. I hope he gets that.
I mean, just to find some good. Like, I don't want to see another black brother, go through the system in a way that they'll railroad him, this, that, and the third, right? But Shaka Johnson used to be a cop, so he also thinks like that as well, right? What brought him, well, besides beating the cases, the toughest cases, being one of those guys, he was involved in the joint with the guy that allegedly had shot the 6 cops that barricaded himself in the crib, and the boy called Shaka, and Shaka negotiated his surrender. So that really boosted him even more as far as notoriety is concerned, right? I'm looking forward to hearing it because, like, when else do you hear an attorney go on a radio station and give an interview?
Yeah.
Period. So he's going, to me, that means he has to address the public outcry about him taking this case. Like, that's got to be the first thing, if it ain't the last thing. So I am looking forward to hearing that. On the other hand, being real, as a father with a daughter, I would feel some type of way him taking the case. But I don't think it's enough people that would really matter. Like, I don't think it's going to, you know what I'm saying? Because if it's y'all black people that feel some type of way in Philly, guess what? I don't live in Philly, and I just take all the white cases. They see that I'm like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But so, yeah, it's crazy.
Thank you for watching this video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.